Happy Thanksgiving and Namaste. I'm Zain Saraswati Jamal. Today I'm going to be sharing one of my favorite all-time recipes for the holidays, and that is healthy vegan pumpkin pie. So let's get started. The recipe takes two different sections. So first we're going to start by creating the crust, and then we're going to move on to the filling. So for the crust, I'm going to open my gorgeous Breville food processor here, and I'm going to throw in a cup of oats. So these are just regular slow cook oats, and I'm just going to put them right through the chute there. They don't have to be cooked because they will bake on their own. I have a cup and a half of walnuts here, and the walnuts give it a really nice texture. I love to use them for the crusts, not only of all my pie recipes, but my cheesecake recipe as well. From there, I'm going to add in my coconut oil, which is 1 tablespoon. I'm going to add in my tablespoon of flax seeds. And that just gives it a nice, nutty, rich flavor. And the last ingredient I'm gonna add is some vanilla cream stevia. So you can add maple syrup or stevia or even some honey if you wish. And if you're non-vegan, you can feel free to add some raw honey to the mix. I'm also actually gonna add a pinch of salt. So this is about just under 1/8 of a teaspoon of pink Himalayan crystal salt. Let's close up the food processor now, and let's give it a good blend. So this is a great crust, a beautiful, delicious crust for a pumpkin pie. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna now assemble the crust right into the pie dish. So I've got a non-stick pie pan here. You can feel free to use an aluminum disposable pie pan if you choose. I'm gonna take the blade out here, so just be really careful with your food processor. We don't want any Thanksgiving casualties. And we're gonna just take that entire pile, and we're gonna just lay it right down into the pie plate. So that's great. It's a really nice measurement. And then I'm gonna use my hands to just gently press the crust down into the pie dish so that it spreads thinly and evenly. This makes about, depending on the size of the pie plate that you're using, it makes about a 1/4 inch to about a 1/2 inch crust. So that's what the crust looks like. And I'm gonna pop that in the oven for about 10 minutes until it gets to a golden brown. So let's move on to the filling, shall we? So over here, I've got 2½ cups of baked sugar pumpkin. Now, this is a fresh pumpkin. You can also use a canned pumpkin. If you are going to be using canned pumpkin, please ensure that you go for a nice organic, BPA-free canned pumpkin. And be wary of choosing canned pumpkin that is a pumpkin pie filling, because generally those are the ones that are contaminated with lots of different kinds of sugars and starches and things like that. So you want to go for a natural pumpkin, a natural sugar pumpkin. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add some medjool dates to this recipe. So you just want to take the seed. You just want to make sure that you take the seeds out of the dates to ensure that you're not going to slaughter your food processor with them. And I'm just going to add those in. And let's just begin this processing. So we're gonna let that blend, and I'm gonna add in some of my remaining ingredients just through the food chute here up top. So what I wanna add in is I wanna add in some cinnamon, and I'm gonna add about a tablespoonful of maple syrup here. You don't have to add maple syrup. You can add honey, or you can add stevia or another sweetener. I like the maple syrup. I feel like it caramelizes really well with the pumpkin. So I'm gonna leave that in there. The next ingredient I'm gonna add, which is an optional ingredient, is coconut butter. And I think coconut butter really helps to increase the creaminess and the flavor of the pumpkin. So I've added coconut butter. I've got some allspice and nutmeg here. You can feel free to use pumpkin spice as well. That just kind of combines all of the spices in one. And I'm gonna add some fresh ginger here. I'm gonna add about a 1/4 cup of almond milk as well to this recipe. So this is a homemade almond milk that I made myself. You can choose to use any nut milk that you like. I've got some great recipes on my website for how to make your own nut milk. If you're interested, please check them out. And last but not least, I'm gonna add some vanilla. So just about a teaspoon of vanilla should usually do it. And just add that in there. And we're gonna give this a blend now. So let's give this a look and see how it's going in there. The dates look pretty blended, and that's when you know that the consistency is pretty good. I'm just gonna give it a little bit of a whirl here. And I'm gonna grab my final ingredient, which is arrowroot powder. And that's about a teaspoonful there. So let's just add that to it. Give it a bit of a blend. So I'm gonna go into the oven and I'm gonna bring out the crust. That should be pretty close to good by now. Not bad. So it's a nice golden color. And of course it will bake for an additional amount of time after we pour the filling on. So let's get this pumpkin layered over top. So let's just turn this around and make it nice and smooth here on our pie. So let's pop this in the oven for about an hour's time, and we'll have a quick peek in there in about half an hour. So here it is, fresh out of the oven, a delicious vegan pumpkin pie. So I'm gonna let this cool on the countertop for about 30 minutes to 45 minutes until we're completely finished with dinner, and then I'm gonna slice it up. For those of you who enjoy your pumpkin pie cold, you can also put this one in the fridge, and it'll help to just kind of harden it up a little bit before you slice it. So I hope you enjoyed this recipe as much as I do. I'm Zain Saraswati Jamal, wishing you a happy Thanksgiving.